I've You're live on YouTube already? You're about to go live on Facebook. So as soon as I hit this button, I get up and I'm going to switch you back over to Johan, and then you're good.
Hold on. We're still watch as we interview.
I'll go
Okay.
edit on another
That's
screen.
fine.
I can't do it here.
That's fine.
So that's not what we want. All right.
So we're live.
Yes, and this is your screen. This is what the audience is seeing.
All right.
Monitor it from the other room.
All right. What's up, guys? Everybody out in the social media world. We're excited today to be talking to, in a few minutes here, the team captain of Team USA this year. Of course, a lot of exciting news breaking this week related to this year's Mosconi Cup. Of course, we announced last Friday that once again APA will be the official sponsor of Team USA, something we are very excited about, something we are very proud to be. And, of course, all of us here rooting for Team USA to get back on the winner side of things in the Mosconi Cup and to reclaim the cup, if you will. So we will have a guest today, again, Johan Ruysink, the team captain of Team USA, here to talk a little bit about his return, as well as some of the selections that have been announced thus far for Team USA, the team that will be competing in London this year, and kind of how they've been preparing, and he'll fill us in on all of those good details. Before we go to Johan, though, I do want to let all of the folks out there that are watching just kind of a reminder, we are in renewal time. So if you've had a good time this year with APA, we would encourage you guys to go ahead and get signed back up for next year. We've got spring sessions forming now. You can do that at poolplayers.com/join. And if you're not an APA member, it's the perfect time to get involved in the league, to join the league for the spring session. Come out, have some fun with some new folks, meet some new people, maybe find your way in Vegas. So again, all that stuff coming up, and we would encourage you to go to poolplayers.com/join where you can do all that. So without further ado, let's see if technology is going to stick with us here, and if we can bring in Johan. 1 second, Johan, you're muted. All right, Johan, can you hear us here?
I can hear you loud and clearly. Yeah.
Excellent. So, folks, we are joined once again by Johan Ruysink. Johan is this year's captain of Team USA in the Mosconi Cup. Johan, one of the perhaps one of the top billiard instructors in the entire world, and has a tough task ahead of him in getting Team USA back on the winning side of things in this year's Mosconi Cup, which will take place in London in early December at Alexandra Palace. Johan, the last time we talked, we were in Las Vegas. Obviously, it was following kind of another disappointing performance for Team USA in the Mosconi Cup. And at the time, or shortly thereafter, I know Matchroom had extended to you an invitation. They really wanted you to come back and once again captain this team, but you needed to take some time. You needed to do some soul searching and decide if you really wanted to commit to that. So I wondered if you could talk a little bit about what went into that decision to come back and coach the team, and really what ultimately led you to making this commitment.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Last year was a kind of a disappointment, and I needed a couple of months to regroup and to mentally process the defeat. But I wasn't sure if I was going to do it again. But looking at the mistakes we made, those were such easy mistakes in the end. The balls that we missed, that I thought that only a couple of balls different in the Mosconi Cup would have led to a much closer encounter. And I was thinking, I can do it a different way. I thought I didn't put my foot down enough last year. I tried to work with the American way, and then I decided either I come back and I do it completely my way, or I'm not going to do it because it doesn't work if it's halfway. So I decided to come back and do it completely the way I wanted to do it.
So let's talk a little bit about that, the way that you wanted to do things. Tell me a little bit, or tell our audience a little bit about what, kind of has been going on behind the scenes over the last several months, preparing Team USA, helping you decide on who the team members were going to be and ultimately who was selected. What's gone on in that process?
Well, first of all, we started with a bigger group, which I thought was necessary. Otherwise, people would already be secure of their place, and the incentive to work hard would not be as big. So we started with a bigger group, 13 guys, and got it down to 8 after the first 2 boot camps. The 8 best prospects, in our opinion, Jeremy and mine. And from there on, we went to an international trip to Russia, Holland, Eurotour, and we tried to, I tried to see how things were going on an international scale. So I first went to America, 10 days, prepared with the boys individually. Then we went to Russia, then to Holland. So we had a good spell of playing and getting to know the players, their game, their personality. So that worked for me much better because now I had a much clearer view of the players that I'm working with. So that gives me better tools to work with them and to make the process as good as it can.
Yeah, how difficult? I mean, you mentioned that you had a larger pool of players kind of at the beginning of this process before these camps and some of these competitions that you've had these guys playing in. How hard has it been for you to whittle that larger group down to what we know right now, which is 4 of the 5, and ultimately tomorrow we'll know the 5th? How hard has it been for you to narrow that group down?
Well, on paper it looked really good. Starting with a big group and then cutting it down every time. But to be honest, after the first boot camp, I already had a hard time to cut 5 people out because I felt everybody really tried hard and put in a lot of effort. So I was sorry for the guys that didn't make it, But in the end, you do have to make a choice. So we made the choice, and now it's the same thing actually. With these 8 guys who've been on the road for a month almost, I've been at their homes. We've been practicing, we've been talking, and we kind of developed a relationship, and it was pretty hard for me to now again cut out the 3 of the 8 players to come down to 5 players. So it looked nice on paper, but in the end, it gave even me a little bit of a heartbreak.
Sure. So you mentioned Jeremy Jones, and he's kind of a new addition as an assistant coach or assistant captain. Talk to us a little bit about his addition to the team. Why you brought him in, what he brings to the team overall.
Well, he brings everything I don't have, which is knowledge of the players, table knowledge. I have some table knowledge because I've seen a lot of pool in 25 years and I've played a little bit myself, but I've never been in the arena. I've never felt the pressure in the arena. He's played, I think, 7 Mosconi Cups. So he's hugely experienced in that part. He knows all the players. He has a better understanding of what is needed at the table when it's pressure time. So for me, his table knowledge and his way of going about with the players is just everything that I don't do. I'm not a guy that has a lot of feeling. I work mostly with my brains and with my knowledge. So he brings a nice touch to the team, and of course his knowledge and experience is hugely important. I missed it last year, by the way. I didn't have a vice captain, so I kind of thought if I will do it again, I do need a vice captain, and for me the obvious choice was Jeremy. I was so glad that he actually committed to the task.
Sure. So let's talk a little bit about, so we know 4 of the 5 team members at this point, and I'd like you just to talk a little bit about each of them and what they bring to the team. We can start with Skylar Woodward. Of course, Skylar, still a young guy, but now I believe in his 4th Mosconi Cup competition. Tell us a little bit about Skylar and what you think he brings to the team.
Well, young guy, 25 years old. For me, every guy on the team is quite young. But I think he's much more mature than last year. I thought last year he was a little bit in 2 minds. This year he was completely committed. He's taken up the things from the boot camp that he needs to take up. And I think his level was already quite good this year, but the last couple of months he seems unbeatable at times. He's playing very naturally, does no nonsense pool. Um, Everything I can ask for actually happened this year, so I'm really happy that he stepped up.
Excellent. So let's also talk about of course, most of the team now very young. I think Billy Thorpe, a player who made his Mosconi Cup debut last year, arguably out of the group from last year, had maybe the best competition. Tell us a little bit about Billy and your selection of him and what you think he brings to the team.
Well, first of all, he's a fierce competitor. As soon as he gets to the table, there's no fiber in his body that doesn't want to win. That counts for all of them, but especially for him, he's very intense. Sometimes even too intense. He should relax a little bit more at times. But next to that, it's just great to have him around because there's always something happening with him. He's an action type guy. He wants to do things, and without him, it would probably be quite a dull experience. But now there's always something happening, so that's good.
So Billy brings the excitement, huh?
Yes, sir.
Nice. So an announcement came out today. A player that I'm not overly familiar with. I don't know how much of our audience is familiar, but Tyler Styer is going to be new to the competition, rookie on the team. What can you tell us about Tyler?
Well, great fundamentals. The guy lives, eats, breathes pool. He's only watching YouTube clips. He's always thinking about technical stuff. He's always thinking about strategical stuff. He's trying to learn hard, but of course, what we all know, he doesn't have a lot of international experience. However, when I saw him play on the weak side of that might be that he doesn't know the international pressure either.
Right.
But when I saw him play on the US Open or the International Open, actually, I saw him play his idol on the television table, Niels Vijen. You can't get more pressure than that. He needed a good result on the US Open. So that was high pressure. He plays his idol. It's on the television table, probably the slickest table in the room. So he needed to adjust, and he beat one of the best players in the world, quite decisively, to be honest. So that was a real eye opener for me.
Excellent. So we'll look forward to seeing him.
Yeah, next to that, the guy's in good shape. He's always running and working on his mental skills. So he's absolutely trying hard to get to the top. He might not be there yet, but I think if we can work a little bit more and he can get in his best mental shape come to the when Mosconi Cup comes, then I think he'll be a big surprise for a lot of people.
Excellent. And so finally, the fourth player that we do know as of now, and I think a big sigh of relief amongst those rooting for Team USA, is the addition of course, Shane Van Boening. Now, with Shane, earlier this year, it looked for a while like he was not going to be part of the team. I know he had put out a statement earlier in the year that basically said, time was an issue for him, and he was not prepared to commit to the time that it was going to take to be considered for the team. Talk to us a little bit about, first off, just tell us a little bit what changed in that scenario and how we got here with Shane once again back on the team.
Well, like I said, I needed 2 months after the Mosconi Cup to, almost get out of the depression because I was so incredibly disappointed about the way we played and the way we acted in the important moments that I just didn't feel good and I didn't communicate to anybody, and there was a mistake on my side. I should have, for example, spoken to Shane. Because obviously last year he wasn't at his best also. Didn't communicate with him, so that led to some misunderstandings. And then in the PCA Expo in New Orleans, we sat down, we talked, and then we found out that a lot of the way he looked at things and the way I looked at things, a lot of things just kind of were the same. but because we didn't communicate, it wasn't clear. So that's probably why he didn't want to do the same thing again at that point. When we talked, he understood much better what I wanted. I understood much better what he wanted, and then we came together. And if you would make an exception, because I had made a line that nobody from outside the group could actually get in. But if you would make one exception, then it would be for Shane, of course.
Right.
And especially, the way he's playing this year again with Ruysink, he made some mental changes. I think he's on top of his game again.
Yeah, and how important do you believe Shane is to the overall success of the team? I mean, I think the younger guys probably look to him a great deal. I know he takes a tremendous burden upon himself. How big of it is it for Team USA that Shane is a part of the team?
Well, he's as big as the other guys,
Sure.
but because there's only one guy out of five. But the big thing that he brings, of course, is his professional attitude. He's practicing a lot. He's making sure he's prepared. He does the correct things outside of the table, which is a good example, especially for the young kids, because especially when you're young. I have three young kids, 19, 18. At that age, you want to discover the world also, and you want
Right.
to, you want to make something happen in your life. You just don't want to be a boring pool player. So sometimes they need to be reminded that it is a way of life. Pool. It's not just a game. Not just you don't play pool to sustain a certain lifestyle. You have to sustain a certain lifestyle in order to be a pool player. And Shane is a big example in that. So that's a good thing. Yes, definitely.
So it sounds like we will know the fifth and final player will be announced tomorrow by Matchroom. That's something we're very excited to see how the team kind of rounds out. Curious how, for those in particular, for Tyler, who's not been on the team before, and even for Billy, who has but has yet to have to go overseas and play in front of that, what we know of that Mosconi crowd and the raucousness and the kind of the craziness that goes with competing. And what we anticipate in London. How will you prepare those two in particular, but the team overall to handle what may be somewhat of a kind of a hostile, intense environment?
Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to prepare them on a hostile and a very noisy crowd. The way exactly how we're going to do that, I'm not going to tell you, because that's you're probably not the only Americans are listening.
Right.
So I don't want to give anything away, but that's the thing that we will practice a lot on the circumstances, on the break, on team building, things like that. The details actually for the Mosconi Cup, for the specific format of the Mosconi Cup, we need to be absolutely ready for that.
Yeah, and how far in advance between now and the competition in December? I mean, will you have any other opportunity to get these guys together? Will they come into London early? I mean, what opportunity will you have to work with them as a team between now and then?
Well, Tyler will come to my place for a week before the preparation, the 26th. Every player will go to London, and there we will prepare for a week in order to make sure that we absolutely sharp. Then we have probably a team building day with some day off and some crazy stupid things that we're gonna do with the team, and then it's already 4th or 3rd of December, and then we need to start. So it's not that long anymore. So the big preparation, in my opinion, is done. If you look at the results, for example, US or International Open, normally I would say the European players will be in front of most of the American players. But this year there was only 2 Taiwanese guys that were in front of us, and we left most of the Europeans behind us. So that's a good thing. We are in good shape. So now, in order to be a winning squad in December, we need to find out how we can master the details: shot clock, break, crowd, team performance.
Yeah, so I know Team Europe has, I believe all 5 have now been announced. What can you tell us from your perspective? Obviously, you've got great knowledge of some of the European players. What can you tell us about what you've seen from the makeup of Team Europe this year? Of course, Niels, Jason Shaw, Albin Ocean, probably the names I think most of the American audience is familiar with. I don't know Casey and I don't know if I'm gonna say this right. But what can you tell us about these guys individually as a team from what you know?
Well, individually, whoever would have played would have been good. Obviously, in this year, these 5 guys seem to stand out. Um, as a team, they will always play good because they know how to prepare, they know how to stick together. So we kind of know what kind of level and what they will bring to the table. So we just need to be prepared to handle that. But I, I'm not really a fan of looking too much at my opponent because your opponent's in his chair at the moment when you're shooting. So I think it's all about our performance, and as long as we get as sharp as we can, we might have a good chance. If we don't, then it doesn't matter actually how they play, because then we need to rely on mistakes, on scratches on break, and I don't think that's the way you want to win a Mosconi Cup. We want to play dominant. We want to make sure we master break and we can actually take control of our matches. So that's what I like. I don't like to be dependent on how they play. We just, we got to give them help. That's what basically the fact is.
Absolutely. So, Johan, last question. I mean, ultimately, what is it going to take, or what do you think it's going to take for Team USA to reclaim the cup for the first time in over a decade? I mean, what's it going to take for these guys this year?
To win. No, of course. Listen, again, we've done a lot of preparation. I think preparation-wise, we are probably the better team. We're better prepared than Team Europe because they will only take like 3 or 4 days together. So we had a long spell. We learned to trust each other in this period. We still have 1 month to go. We need to be as sharp as we can. I think in general, at the beginning of the year, I felt that the American players were also lesser in level than the Europeans. But I think we caught up, and I actually told us in the first boot camp that we need to catch up with them in level. And then, as soon as we do, we need to be as sharp as we can on the Mosconi Cup. So we not only need to be better players, we also need to be sharper when we play the Mosconi Cup. But then again, as everybody knows, you race to 5. A couple of things will happen. You're a little bit with bad luck, bad roll. You can lose a match. It can affect your mentality. It can affect your attitude. So we need to be absolutely sure that we are strong, sharp. We have a lot of energy left. We don't want to wear ourselves out, and we've got to stick together at all times. Whatever happens, we've got to stick together, and we've got to keep fighting whatever happens.
Well, we wish you and the rest of the team a lot of luck in terms of final preparations for the event. Of course, I know you guys have to be very excited. We are very excited to be part of this again. Of course, we will have a team there covering the event, so we will look forward to seeing you in early December in London. And we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. And we'll see you again here in a few weeks.
Okay, and thank you again.
All right, thanks, Johan. Take care.
Go USA!
All right, there you have it, folks. So again, much appreciation to Johan, team captain of Team USA, this year's Mosconi Cup, which will be held in Alexandra Palace in London, December, first week of December. I believe it's the 4th through the 7th. I think there are still some limited tickets available if you're interested in attending that event. We will be bringing you coverage throughout that event, Team USA coverage as the event unfolds. Hopefully we will be there to cover them bringing home the first cup in more than a decade, and you can watch all of that here on our Facebook page. I'd encourage you guys to like us here on Facebook if you want to get notifications about that content as it comes out. We will have some exclusive coverage as we go. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can find similar content. And once again, if you haven't renewed your membership for next year, or if you're not an APA member and you're looking to get involved for the spring session, we'd encourage you to go to poolplayers.com/join. You can do that today, and maybe we'll be seeing you in Vegas in August. So once again, folks, looking forward to the Mosconi Cup. Thanks for joining us today, and we will see you again very soon.